Because of the following ABC News special report, the program normally seen at this time will not be presented today.
Good evening, folks. I'm Charles Stevenson.
And I'm Oliver Hartley.
And on this day, February 24th, 1969, history is in the making.
Right you are. Today is the day that our nation's Supreme Court is releasing the verdict on the Tinker versus Des Moines case.
Correct, my friend. During this broadcast, we will keep you up to date on the pressing matter occurring in the court. For those of you who are not aware of this past year's events, we are deciding today's main coverage will be about the case that is currently being decided.
Throughout the years, American citizens have been granted a bountiful amount of civil rights and liberties, yet the distinction between the two is often unclear among us. This case focuses primarily on the topic of violating civil liberties.
This case arose from a group of 16-year-old students planning to wear black armbands during their holiday season to show their want for our troops, as our troops are in Vietnam partaking in a war. They also wanted to fast on December 16th and New Year's Eve for the same cause.
The Des Moines Independent Community School District had found out about these plans and created a rule stating that if any student were to come to school wearing the armband, they would have to remove the article of clothing. If they chose not to, suspension was in order.
Yet still, students Mary Beth Tinker, Christopher Eckhart, John Tinker, and some others violated the new rule and were sent home immediately. They did not attend school for the duration of the rest of the time they had planned to stand in protest and carried on with their plans.
Later on, the students, with the aid of their parents, decided to sue the school district on claiming their right of free expression and speech that had been breached. Although the district court gave no notice to the case and claimed the school district had given fair punishment for their actions, the case still went to the Supreme Court, bringing forth a new topic of conflict.
And that topic being the main question of, does a prohibition against wearing armbands in public school as a form of symbolic protest violate the students' freedom of speech protections guaranteed by the First Amendment?
We have a recording of the oral argument that occurred 4 months ago when the case was argued in court.
During a period of time, of course, there were school days, and they wore the armbands to school. Prior to the time when any of these petitioners wore the armbands to school, it came to the attention of the school authorities that perhaps there would be some students who would express views related to the war in Vietnam in this manner during school time. The principals of the secondary schools, the high schools, and perhaps the junior high schools in the city of Des Moines, the public school system, met prior to the time that any of the armbands had been worn and enacted a policy which was not written but which was agreed upon among themselves that no student could wear an armband in the Des Moines public school system for this purpose. That if a student came to school wearing the armband, he would be asked to
This just in, folks.
We have received the decision by Justice A. Fortas, and the conclusion is a 7-2 decision in favor of Tinker.
Although the decision was not unanimous, the majority of the court, including Chief Justice Warren and Justices Douglas, Brennan, Stewart, White, Fortas, and Marshall, stated that the armbands did not, in fact, act as an interference to the school, but were simply a means of pure speech.
The court did say that the students were not denied their First Amendment rights upon entering school grounds, yet the school had no right to press the students from wearing the armbands, as they didn't materially and substantially interfere with the day-to-day schedule.
It was more that the school was afraid of the potential disruption that the armbands could cause, rather than the actual disruption they clearly did not cause. There were concurring and dissenting opinions by other justices, yet, in the end, the students did indeed win the case.
That is all the time we have today, folks, for this monumental decision that will live on in America's history forever. Once again, I'm Charles Stevenson.
And I'm Oliver Hartley, and this has been ABC News.
Well, you know you make me wanna kick my heels up.